Excuse me, ma'am. Hey, I'm late for my flight. I got my kid waiting in the lobby. Just need $3 for my ticket.
Not today.
For real?
For real. Back off, okay?
Crime is rapidly exploding throughout Columbus, with shootings, robberies, and killings climbing to numbers the city has never seen before. Even as people are dropping every day, Governor John Messer keeps insisting that crime has never been lower. When protesters confront him about a new pipeline proposal, Messer claims he ordered an outside investigation to look into the project. Watching the governor's speech are Abby Hill and her family, excited to hear him credit the work her mother Vivian has been doing. Vivian then heads to the airport to pick up her husband, Stan, who is returning from a job interview in California. Stan is thrilled about how the trip went and is eager to take on a management role at a local factory. The two walk to their car, still chatting about everything, when they notice one of the tires is completely flat. Stan gets ready to replace it, but a stranger approaches, asking for cash to help pay his ticket. Stan turns him down politely, only for another man to suddenly strike him with a metal pipe, knocking him out. The first man grabs Vivian and viciously stabs her before stealing her bag and running off. Stan eventually regains consciousness, crawling over to Vivian and holding her lifeless body as he breaks down in tears. Stan goes to the police station soon after to give his statement, but the officers act as if they couldn't care less about what happened. One detective even hints that the deep gash on Stan's forehead might have messed with his vision, making his identification unreliable, while another walks in asking questions about the state of Stan's marriage before the attack, leaving Stan stunned that they think any of that matters. He later attends Vivian's funeral and says his emotional goodbye, but before the service even begins, he quietly slips out, having only come to honor her. Later, Stan sees the governor on TV addressing Vivian's murder, but Messer brushes over it with a bland, generic response before moving on to other business. Furious at the lack of concern, Stan grabs Vivian's Bible and throws it, only to notice it fell open to one specific page. Picking it up, he sees a verse that reads, "I am full of the wrath of the Lord, and I cannot hold it in." Abby calls to check on him, but Stan insists he's fine and tells her to get some sleep. Stan is soon called back to the police station to look at a lineup for the man who killed his wife, and he immediately points out the same guy who first approached them for money. Stan is completely certain he has the right person, expecting the detectives to finally take action and deliver justice, but moments later he sees the very same man casually walk out of the station without even a warning. As he passes Stan, the man gives him a cold, mocking wink, sending Stan into a rage. When Stan confronts the detectives, they tell him to simply give it time, and maybe age will eventually catch up to the suspect. Stan storms out furious, while the two detectives, Gibson and Walker, mention that the man is connected to a gang run by someone named Lemmy K and admit they plan to let the entire case fade away. Later, Abby meets Stan at a diner where he explains what happened and how the killer walked free. She invites him to stay the night with her family, but Stan declines, saying he needs time alone. That night, he tries drowning his grief with alcohol, and after drinking, he opens the closet, thinking about a former life he abandoned for Vivian, but chooses to walk away instead of acting on it. Stan goes for a late drive through the city and ends up back at the same parking lot where Vivian was attacked, but the area is empty. On his way home, he suddenly spots his wife's killer standing with two other men. Stan races back to his house, heads straight for the closet, smashes through the drywall, and pulls out a hidden black case filled with weapons, cash, and fake IDs. He calls his old friend Dennis, another former Special Forces operative, and asks for information on the men involved. Stan meets Dennis at his barber shop, which secretly operates as a front for Dennis's off-the-books intel business. It's revealed that Stan used to work in Black Ops alongside him before leaving that life behind to be with Vivian. Dennis is upset Stan walked away years ago, but he understands that love changed him. Dennis warns Stan that going after revenge will only get him killed, but Stan insists he wants justice because Vivian died for nothing. Seeing Stan's determination, Dennis finally hands over a file containing details on the men, including the name of the killer, Charlie. With that, Stan sets out on his first target, a man named Nathan, one of the guys he remembers from the attack. Stan heads to the bar where Nathan is known to hang out and sees him playing pool. Nathan is flirting with a woman, trying to impress her, and to Stan's horror, Nathan pulls out Vivian's purse and offers it to the girl as a gift. When Nathan notices Stan watching him, recognition hits, and he bolts. Stan chases after him, and the two exchange gunfire until Nathan slips away into the shadows. Stan searches the alley, and when Nathan attempts to ambush him, Stan quickly disarms him. He demands to know where Charlie is, smashing Nathan in the mouth with his gun. Nathan admits the attack on Vivian was more than a simple robbery, but before he can say more, Dennis arrives warning that the cops are coming. Nathan lunges for his weapon, forcing both men to shoot him dead. They search his pockets, drag him to a dumpster, and burn his body, completely unaware that someone nearby has recorded everything on video. Afterward, the two get food, and Dennis scolds Stan for jumping in without a real plan, warning he'll get himself killed before completing his revenge. Stan insists he can handle things alone, but Dennis reminds him he was already involved the moment Vivian died. They find a cell phone in Nathan's belongings, which Dennis takes to investigate. Meanwhile, over at a local club, drug boss Lemmy K hears about Nathan's death and learns two men are now hunting for Charlie. One of his guys shows him the video of Stan and Dennis killing Nathan, and Lemmy immediately orders his crew to track down their families, and even their pets, like he thinks he's in some bargain bin version of John Wick. Later, Stan meets Abby at the diner, where he explains that he identified Nathan and watched him walk free. Abby offers to have Stan stay overnight with her family, but he turns it down, saying he needs some time by himself. Stan heads to Dennis's barbershop, where Dennis unveils an arsenal of weapons and body armor for Stan's upcoming mission. Dennis warns that once Stan goes after Charlie, he may attract dangerous attention, and again urges him to leave the country. But Stan is determined to see it through. Dennis traces a number from Nathan's phone, linking it to Lars, a tattoo artist downtown. Stan calls to confirm the contact. Gibson and Walker meet with Lemmy K, who is furious that his men were not protected as agreed. Lemmy orders them to find the attackers. Meanwhile, Governor Messer is in his limo, planning to spin the pipeline story when Gibson calls for a secret meeting. In an alley, Gibson informs Messer that Lemmy's men are dead, and the Kingpin is threatening to expose a video involving Messer's son. It's revealed that Messer is working with Lemmy to protect his power. Messer instructs Gibson to contain the situation at any cost, eyeing the police chief position for himself. Elsewhere, Stan poses as a customer at the tattoo shop, but Lars isn't present. The shop employee grows suspicious of Stan's questioning and texts Lars, who tells him to stall Stan. Dennis receives an alert at the barber shop, arriving to find it trashed. Charlie appears, holding Dennis at gunpoint, with other men surrounding him. Charlie shows a photo of Stan and Dennis dumping Nathan and demands Stan's location. Dennis seizes a moment to disarm Charlie, beating the remaining men. Charlie escapes while Dennis hauls the others to the basement. Stan is in the chair getting a tattoo when Lars returns, confronting him with a gun. Stan calmly explains he's there for a personal tattoo. Lars spots the I Am Wrath tattoo on Stan's back, but Stan quickly disarms him, knocking him down. Lars attempts using an antique sword, but Stan counters with a box cutter. Lars fatally wounds himself on the sword. Stan retrieves his phone and drug stash, calling Dennis to discuss the shop attack. They meet to dispose of the bodies, and Stan suspects the drugs belong to Charlie, planning to use them to lure him into a trap. That night, Stan reflects on his family while drinking, haunted by memories of Vivian. The following day, Stan visits her church, praying for guidance. He confesses to killing many men, some justly, some not. Meanwhile, Abby and her husband pack Vivian's belongings. Abby finds a gun and files detailing her mother's killers. As they leave, Charlie and another man open fire on their van. Stan arrives just in time, and Abby scolds him for putting her family at risk. He assures them they'll be safe and arranges a hotel stay. Gibson, using an FBI contact, discovers Stan's Black Ops background and reports it to Governor Messer. Messer orders a team of professionals to capture Stan, sparing no resources. Charlie waits in his car, receiving a text from Stan, offering to trade the missing stash at a Korean nightclub if he comes alone. Stan and Dennis gear up and arrive at the club, spotting Charlie. They instruct him to meet in the VIP room. Charlie enters the VIP, noticing a man with a bag, growing suspicious. Guns are drawn as tension escalates. Stan walks in, prompting Charlie to fire, but Stan and Dennis return fire, forcing Charlie to seek cover. Charlie pleads, claiming killing Vivian wasn't his idea. Lemmy K ordered the hit. Hitmen arrive at the club and Stan shoots Charlie dead while both men fight their way out, eliminating a few attackers. Back at their hideout, Dennis warns Stan about Lemmy K's danger. Stan refuses to back down, determined to end this. He reviews Vivian's research, discovering her pipeline study revealed 82% water contamination, which would halt operations. Stan realizes Messer had her killed to cover the findings and protect his interests. Abby and her family prepare to leave the house when Lemmy K and his men burst in, demanding Abby call Stan. She seizes a chance, stabbing one attacker, but in the chaos, her daughter is shot in the stomach. Stan receives a text from Abby and immediately heads to the house with his gun drawn. He sees the attackers through the window but enters via the basement. Stan kills the first assailant before Lemmy grabs Abby, ordering Stan to drop his weapon. Stan complies, but Dennis from outside shoots Lemmy, disarming him and allowing Stan to strike back. Dennis is ambushed by another gangster and shot, but manages to kill the attacker. Stan holds Lemmy at gunpoint, demanding to know Messer's involvement. Suddenly, Gibson shoots Lemmy dead. Gibson assumes Stan is cornered, but Dennis appears, knocking out Walker, forcing Gibson to stand down. The two men compel Gibson to drive, and Stan confronts him about targeting his family, yet letting criminals go free. Gibson admits Lemmy was blackmailing Messer with a video of his son, forcing police in action, and that Lemmy carried out Vivian's hit on Messer's orders. Stan forces Gibson to drive him to the governor's compound, then knocks him out. Gibson awakens handcuffed to the steering wheel, stunned to find the governor's guards dead, and realizes too late that the car is rigged to explode, which it does, killing him. Walker barely escapes from the trunk. Stan shoots his way into the mansion, but Messer ambushes him. The two fight hand to hand. Messer gains the upper hand and holds Stan at gunpoint. Stan confronts him about Vivian's murder. Messer coldly claims sacrifices are necessary for the greater good. As he leans too close, Stan plunges a knife into Messer's stomach. Messer, weak and dying, asks who Stan is. Stan calmly replies,
"I am Wrath."
Outside, police surround the compound with snipers. Stan walks out, raising his weapon, and is riddled with bullets, but his bulletproof vest protects him. 3 days later, Stan is in the hospital with Abby and her family visiting him. A lawyer informs Abby that Stan will be sent directly to federal prison, and because of his background, he may never be heard from again. Abby, distraught, runs to her father one last time before being asked to leave. Later, during a shift change, Walker arrives at Stan's door, subtly pulling a gun to finish the job. Instead of shooting immediately, Walker begins his villain monologue. From under the covers, Stan shoots Walker dead using a gun Abby had given him earlier. Dennis, disguised as a doctor, arrives, hides Walker's body, and hands Stan a bag, urging him to get dressed. He then helps Stan escape from the hospital. Weeks later, Abby receives a postcard from Stan in Brazil, assuring her that he is safe and doing well. Make sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.